our new A330neo, bound for Kuala Lumpur from Toulouse.
You're holding all the logbook here. How many test flights this airplane done?
What do you look for when you do the review on a particular airlines?
You can see there's a few traffic there, or in our TCAS, and they have this idents.
30, 20, retard.
A flight incident started the next day when I returned to Hong Kong. We actually got turned back in the middle of the air. It really left me a little bit uneasy and anxious, started to think, do we have an engine issue? Welcome to sunny Toulouse in southern France. Behind me is the brand new Malaysia Airlines A330neo, the number 4 order out of 20. Shortly, we're going to take a delivery flight from Toulouse all the way to Kuala Lumpur.
Welcome to MH5039, our new A330neo, bound for Kuala Lumpur from Toulouse. Flying with us today, I'm your pilot in command. My name is Captain Muhammad Razi, and with me in flight deck is Captain Samsurin. Hello. The second in command today. We have another 2 pilots with us. That's Captain Dini and Captain Wilson.
Bye.
Let's go.
Welcome on board the brand new A330neo of Malaysia Airlines. I happen to sit right now in the business class suite. And this is not a usual flight because we have a few VIP on board, including the Minister of Transport from Malaysia.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to our distinguished and one-world frequent flyer members. Mr. Aziz is our in-flight supervisor. The commander of this flight is Captain Rodi, and our flight time to Kuala Lumpur will take us 12 hours and 20 minutes. And enjoy our Malaysian hospitality.
Thank you. All nice one. Let's go. Somewhere around there. 50%. Okay. Takeoff. Van flex 46 accelerates runway with thrust relief.
Check. Last set.
Lean 1.
Rotate. Positive 5.
Heels up.
So welcome on board. We just took off and I came to economy to check out the legroom. I'm going to give Malaysia Airlines a little bit of credits because the economy class on this A330neo has good legroom even for somebody like my size. I'm 185 centimeter, 6 foot 0. So lots of people think I'm shorter because they always see me sitting down, right? Actually, my legs always touching the back of economy, but this plane, I still have quite a few inch of legroom. I'm going to give them a little bit of credits.
Okay, Sam, we are now finally cruising at 37,000 feet above sea level, or flight level 370. And we are currently just coming up to the east coast of Italy. And you can see the coast from the outside there. And from here onwards, we'll be crossing the Balkans. You can see the iPad all the way to the Black Sea, and then entering Turkey. And from Turkey, we'll be going by Georgia, Azerbaijan, all the way down to Turkmenistan, Afghanistan here, And if I zoom out a bit, you can see that we're going through Pakistan, India, Bay of Bengal, and thereafter coming home towards Straits of Malacca and Kuala Lumpur. There's the Strait of Malacca, it's Langkawi, WMKL, and Kuala Lumpur is WMKK. For the A330neo, from the perspective of pilots or operating crew, it is almost similar as the previous A330-300, with a few exceptions, of course. And one of them, if you can see at our navigation display, you can see there's a few traffic there, or in our TCAS, and they have this IDANS or traffic. If you can see below here on our FM, we got the traffic list of all the other traffic surrounding us. And if you select any of the traffic, it will give you the information of their bearing distance as well as their relative altitude. And you notice that the winglet of this aircraft is different from the previous aircraft, A330-300. Where the A330-300, the winglet is a bit angular, this one has a smooth transition and is actually following the best design in the world, which is the nature's design. If you can see the wings of the eagles, it is shaped as a smooth transitions towards the wingtip at the end there and curling up. It will give you the best aerodynamic for the aircraft, and with a new combined with the new engines, it will give us a better fuel economy per seat or per passenger of the aircraft.
Sam, first of all, thank you for joining us. You know that I actually told the airlines to invite you to join me for this trip because I know that I've been following your YouTube channel. Let me ask you, what do you look for when you do the review on a particular airlines?
I generally use my aviation angle, helping people to understand, helping people to become interested in aviation.
What are two things that you think that Malaysian Airlines should improve on?
Well, I think the network is one. Malaysia Airlines used to have a global, extensive network reaching 6 continents. I would expect there will be a little bit more expansion with a new airplane joining the fleet. Second thing I think is when you have flight disruption, the recovery is very important. Obviously, there will be delays, but it's all count down to how you're managing the disruption. Minister, I guess this is your first time on the delivery flight?
Yes, it was my first experience.
You came to the Airbus facility in Toulouse yesterday. You saw the final assembly line. How was your experience at Airbus?
Well, I think it was a very enriching experience. At least let me understand the complexity of the entire ecosystem and to appreciate the aerospace industry and aviation in general. And you need so many people to come together to deliver a single plane.
Yes.
And then for a plane to fly people safely around the world, that needs a lot of efforts and hard work of many people.
Challenges that you see right now happening in the aviation sector in Malaysia?
I think major challenges that faced by many countries as well is that in terms of how do you ensure that enough technical people, pilots, engineers to support the entire ecosystem. I mean, we face a lot of competition from the Middle East, for example. The challenge is how do we maintain our talents locally and to continue to train more people. And on the flying public, because Malaysia's aviation industry, we do have a domestic sector. It's a very strong domestic sector. My challenge is how do we make that air travel remains affordable for most people, for the flying public.
I'm in the middle galley here with Abdulaziz Farah. So today we have 4 flight attendants looking after us. And Abdulaziz earlier came to me, and you have 3 daughters.
Yes,
and
I do.
they really love aviation because of you, I think.
I believe so, yes.
Yes. And earlier I wrote them a nice message, and then because he was very nice, he bought a postcard from Toulouse, from the city of flight.
That's right.
Now, how do you feel the brand new working environment? Because I see everything is new. How do you feel?
Great.
Yeah?
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah,
Having a
it's-
new, Go
Yeah,
ahead.
for me it's like a her special feeling because it's like a brand new car, You know, you get to sit on it first, you get to drive it first. So basically we touch the oven first, we heat the meal first, the toilets are clean, sparkling. So it's like special for me.
So I'm with Ferris. He's a quality assurance manager. He came to Toulouse ahead to check on the airplane to make sure as a customer they can accept this flight, and now we're going home. Since you're holding all the logbook here, I want to know how many test flights this airplane done?
So there were 4 test flights prior to this flight. So 3 of the flights were performed by Airbus, and on the 4th flight, Malaysia Airlines pilots joined for the customer acceptance flight, and now this is the 5th flight bringing the aircraft home to Kuala Lumpur. So I'm holding a logbook when it becomes from EASA registration to Malaysian registration, 9 Mike November Kilo. Right, so in this logbook, I am transferring to ensure that all the mileage, flight hours and flight time is recorded for the airframe, engines and the APU.
Good morning. We are currently at the 41,000 feet and just overflying Phuket now. And we have another 1 hour to go before we land. The forecast weather is fine on arrival in KLIA. Expected temperature around 29 degrees Celsius.
Good morning, 40 minutes to land. I look a little bit knackered and tired, I know, because I didn't sleep that well. And the seat has been a little bit narrow to my body size, to be honest. And also when I turn sideways, my leg is hitting the table on top, and I just wish there's a little bit more space. The table can go up a little bit to create a bit more space for a peaceful night of rest. The rest is wonderful. The padding of the seats, the privacy, entertainment, and there's also Wi-Fi, and also, of course, the Malaysian hospitality. The crew has been very, very responsive.
$130, 100, 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 5,
get to 04, and behind the landing traffic, line up and wait runway 32 left via Charlie 9 behind.
And that was my delivery flight to KL, but a flight incident started the next day when I returned to Hong Kong. We actually got turned back in the middle of the air, returned to KL due to a technical fault. And here's the story. So the next morning was a rainy morning in KL, and I was flying Malaysian Airlines Flight 72 to Hong Kong. It was operated by a 737-800, the smallest airplane in MH's fleet. Funny, interesting, 30 years ago, Malaysia Airlines used to send their jumbo 747-400 to Kai Tak, and now they're sending the smallest plane. That says how much has changed with the scenes in aviation and invention of low-cost airlines, right? So it was a pretty uneventful takeoff. Around 10 a.m., we rotated out of 3-2 right, and I can hear the front wheel was doing a bit of rolling while during the gear retraction, but nothing really happens. Around 50 minutes into the mid-air, suddenly, I heard the captain came on the PA, made a quick announcement saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, due to technical difficulties, our flight will be returning to Kuala Lumpur." He says no more after this, and it was silence, and left all of us wonder what's happening. Maybe he didn't want to panic everyone else, and he just want to focus flying, right? While you're having distress on the airplane, you should aviate, navigate, and communicate. So aviate was the most important thing, fly your plane. So what's worse was the PTV, the map was not showing the actual location of the plane at that time. I could see we were flying around 34 to 35,000 feet, and I have no more information, and I started just to worry and guessing what could gone wrong, what kind of technical difficulties we have to turn back. In my 30 years of career flying, I had lots of ground delay, technical difficulties, switching planes, but we haven't had a mid-air turn back, and this has to be quite serious. It could be dramatic. We all knew what happened the prior week with Air India, right? It really left me a little bit uneasy and anxious, start to think, do we have an engine issue? Or do we have a hydraulic issue? Or do we have a landing gear retraction issue? What could be gone wrong? I was really have so much thoughts into my head and started to worry more than anyone else. So eventually we started to descend, but I hear this loud noise. I don't know what it was. I thought it was landing gear bay or landing gear down, but later I realized it was probably the flaps was down, and try to burn off the excess fuel to have a less weight landing, avoiding an overweight landing. So we were circling, later I found out around 18,000 feet for quite some time, about half an hour. I was thinking maybe he's calling back the base to troubleshoot what could gone wrong on the plane. There was no information given again, so it was quiet in the cabin, and cabin crew seems pretty relaxed. They were doing just the final cabin check, but they didn't tell anyone to brace or didn't tell anyone about safety emergency evacuation. And my wife is a flight attendant. She was telling me that you should look at all the safety equipment where they are just in case. And I started to think, wow, is this a real incident? Is this going to happen on my flight? Oh my gosh. So after another half an hour, we finally left the holding pattern and proceed to land in KL. The landing was a pretty uneventful landing on runway 32 right. Wow, so after all, I felt more relaxed when we got to the gates. Didn't know what happened after 2 hours in the air, and now walking out of the plane back to the terminal in KL. There was engineer came on board. Later, I asked one of the engineer what had went wrong, and he said autopilot failed during the mid-air. So that was the reason the autopilot did not work. Because the autopilot was in fault, he cannot keep up at a flight level 340 as planned. He has to descend to below the reduced vertical separation minimum RVSM airspace to avoid traffic. So you have to fly below flight level 290, and that gives you a severe fuel penalty to all the way to Hong Kong. And then we probably could not have enough fuel all the way to Hong Kong without refueling. So I think the captain made an absolute right decision to return to KL and focus on his flying. I wish he could explain a little bit more, but eventually I found out on the ground what happened. And credit to Malaysia Airlines, they recovered the incident pretty quickly. Within an hour, they found another 737-800, and within an hour, we boarded the flight and off to Hong Kong again. And I was pretty dead tired after that, and after 4 hours of flying, we saw the Hong Kong skyline, and we know that we're coming to land in Hong Kong. And that incident made the whole day much longer. That became 9 hours from KL to Hong Kong after the first flight, and return back and wait, and then after and take off again. And what an interesting story out of 2 Malaysia Airlines flights. And I hope you enjoy my story. See you next week.